I'm very honored to have been asked to share my thoughts and my learning of my people and of my family. And I appreciate you being all here. I was trying to look to see if we had any of our Shivwits Band council members, but they may be coming sometime. But I know they're a busy bunch. We're moving right along. So as Shaquoyah told you, my name is Karma Grayman. So I'm going to go ahead and start out. As you can see, the title of our PowerPoint tonight is "Listen to the Land." So what I came up with when I was looking at words for that, I wrote it and I put "Duvid Bunud Nu Nakakai," and so Nakakai means to listen, to hear, and Duvid Bunud is my land. So Duvid Bunud Nakakai. So that's how I would say it in Paiute. I am not proficient, but I'm recalling a lot of the words that I had heard when I was a young girl from my grandmother and my mom and dad. They were fluent speakers. And so I will begin also with this thought in mind. So, and I will say it in Paiute, Nua, and then I'll explain it to you. Harayani, Mamauti, Damwati, Bisoiti, Aya, Bichkaini Mur, Iva, Sivits, Duvipur, Muan, Magukwe, no, Manomi, Atsani, Paiute, Mam, Unsam. I said, hello. I said, hello, how are you? Ladies, men, and children. It's good, thank you, that you are here, that you came here, you arrived here, to this place, the Shivwits land. And I ask our Creator, the Father, to bless us, all of us, so that when we leave, we will go home in a good way. That's it. That's all I said. So that is my thought to begin with tonight. So I hope that you will bear with me. And I would like to just really thank Sarah and Shaquoyah and Tyson. They have been working so hard to help put this PowerPoint together. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If they want to go ahead. And so this is how the PowerPoint will go. We'll talk about the creation. We'll hear the creation story, and I'm going to tell you in our way, among our Paiute people, our Numun, we're calling Wu, and there are many versions of this story. I have heard 2 or 3, but they all basically tell you the same thing, how we came to be. And it's just a little bit different in each story. So this story that we received was came to us when we did a program for what used to be the Brown Baggers years and years ago when we had our children doing it. So I'm going to have Shaquoyah come up and tell you the story, but I want to tell you a few words. I know this is a lot to take in. But we have stories we call Duina, and we tell those stories in the wintertime. And this is one of those stories, but this is a story that's already been out there, and it is on a site, and you can get into it, and I'll share that with you later on. But this is the story of Sunub, the coyote. So his name is Sunub. And you can see Sunub, he's got a bag. He's carrying a bag. That is a quanub. And so he's carrying that bag, and then he is given a mission by the grandmother who lives in the sea, and I will call her Si Jompa Kahun. That means the sea, the ocean grandmother. si chumpa. Gahu. And this is a word that I have learned, and some of the words that I am reciting to you tonight have come from my grandfather, whose name was Tony Tillahash. And so a lot of these things he had written, he didn't write them, but somebody else wrote, and he shared with them. So I never knew what the word for the ocean was until I read a part of his writings, and it was Sichumpa. And so that I learn things every day. And I learn from young people too, those young people who are learning. And I'm so proud of them. I am very proud of them for wanting to learn their language, because we're losing it. So I'm going to have Shaquoyah come up, and she will share with you the fact of all tribes.
Alright, this story is called The Sack of All Tribes, Paiute Tale, How the Paiute Came to Be. A long time ago, when animals and people of this world could talk to each other, Kaka Kuvum, grandmother of many, told Coyote to take this sack to the middle of America someplace and not to open it until he arrived there. But you know, silly old Coyote, he's always into mischief. He always has to figure out how to make things easier to finish a job or get what he desires. Coyote was told to travel from north by the way of the big river, probably the Colorado River as we know it today. As he started his journey, he was thinking of Kakauvum, grandmother of many, and how pleased she would be with him for doing this deed. As he traveled near to the Las Vegas, Nevada area, he heard some singing and drumming coming from the sack. The sack was heavy, and the coyote was curious as to what was inside. What could be making that noise, he thought to himself. Coyote's curiosity was getting the best of him, and he decided to open the bag and peek in just a little. As he opened the bag, out jumped some little people. Coyote tried to gather up the people, but they were too fast for him, and they scattered in the wind. This is how the Las Vegas and Moapa Paiutes came to be. Coyote quickly closed the bag again and continued his journey. Sometime after traveling further north into the corner of Utah, Coyote again heard noises. He heard singing, drumming, and felt all kinds of things going on inside the bag. Old Coyote, he never listens to anyone, so he once again opened the bag to see what was going on. As quickly as he looked into the bag, more little people jumped out. He tried to gather up the people, but they were too fast for him, and once again they scattered in the wind. This is how the Utah Paiutes came to be. Today we recognize them as the Paiute Indian tribe of Utah, Shivwits, Cedar, Indian Peaks, Kanosh, and Kashurum. Well, Coyote quickly closed the bag again and continued his journey. He continued traveling east to the border of Arizona. His bag was getting lighter as he traveled. Once again, Coyote heard singing, drumming, and felt all kinds of things going on inside. This time, thought Coyote, I will make it to the middle of America. But you know, Coyote, he couldn't stand the curiosity that was building in his mind. What could these little people want to be making all this noise? Once again, he decided to open the bag and peek inside. As quickly as he looked into the bag, almost all the little people jumped out. They scattered in the wind. He emptied the bag here, and this is where the Kaibab and San Juan Paiutes live even to this day. And this story was adapted from the Southern Paiutes Levan Martineau, and the story was formatted by Karma Grayman.
Sunab up here. And Sunab, in a lot of our stories, he's in a lot of our stories. And some people think Sunab is really bad sometimes, but to me, in my sense of thinking, Sunaga, he's human just like us. He's got human characteristics. We're always curious. We always want to do this, we want to do that, instead of doing what we should do. We don't always follow directions. So Sunab, he's that way. And so he was curious when he took that bag for the grandmother. Okay. I just want to tell you a little bit about the Nuunsing, the Paiute. And everyone, in all my life, I've come across people, and they always think that we are one. We're just all put together. But in reality, we are 5 bands. We had many, many bands. And these are only the bands that you will find in the state of Utah. We have other sister bands. So the first one we have up here is the Shivwits Band of Paiute, the Silvas. And it means the Shivwits people. And sometimes some people will say, and it's okay, that it means the white earth people. But, and it's only due to because the Shivwits people lived in an area where there was a white kind of clayish dirt over on the Shivwits Plateau. So, but I say Silvas, and I'm meeting the Shivwits people. Next we have the Indian Peaks, the Chuban, the peak people, soul, spirit, or heart. The next one is the Cedar Band, Siratsing, the Cedar people. The Kanash, Kanasos, and that means the willow jug. And the Kushuram, the water clover people. And it took me a long time to learn these words, which have to practice and practice. The Kanash is a new one to me. I've heard it before, but I also heard another name for them also. So we all have our own names. We have our own areas that we live in. And so our languages sometimes, our dialect may be just a little bit different. But if you listen pretty good, it all means the same thing. So if you hear it, then you know what's going on. These were people who knew where those plants were. They knew where to go gather them. And they went at a certain time to pick them. They took as much as they needed. They didn't wipe it out. They took only as much as they needed. So there'd always be that plant there, that food, that medicine would always be there. Our homes, okay, I'll go ahead and talk about our homes. Our Shivwits Band History had traditional homes. Although they looked a little bit different, they were our homes. In the summer, we had like we only needed a windbreak because you know how warm it gets here. And these pictures right here are way before there were any Europeans or anybody except for us Paiutes were here. So these were our homes during the summer, and they would be made from the tree poles, branches, juniper bark, and then in the winter we had the cone-shaped homes, pretty much like this one here, so that we were always protected from the wind and the sun. Our bands lived close together, or they lived close to the major food and water sources. They always knew where those sources were. We traveled. Nowadays, our leadership has taken on a new role, and we have elections. Every 4 years, we have an election. So that's the way it is now. So you can see how much it's changed. Our homes have changed. We live in homes just like everyone else. We live in apartments, trailers, whatever you have. And some of the people, we live out to the reservation, and that's where I live, out to Shivwits. And in the old days, they used to call that the farm. So the old Washington County people that we knew a long time ago always called us, always asked us if we lived out on the farm. And that was our reservation, the old reservation. It has no electricity, no running water. I grew up there as a young girl. And so it was good, it was beautiful. Old 91, Highway 89, 91 ran right through there a long time ago. But now, yeah, we have the gorge. So, and one more thing about the leadership. It changed when the Mormons came. One of the reasons it's changed is because of the influence of the Mormon religion, the ways they lived. The Mormon people still do set aside people. And so that's what they wanted the Paiutes to do. And so that's how they came up with their, oh, you're going to be the leader, so you will be the spokesman. So then we really didn't have a decision within our bands. But still we do now. We have our council, and they can speak for us. And we meet once a month, every month. So that's one of the things that has changed. Okay, the next one. Our history is not written in the books. It's an oral. It's told orally. And this is my great-great-grandfather, and his name is Quidutz, and this is his son in 1873. And I will be using a lot of my own family because, you know, of photo copyrights and all that stuff that goes into it. So I have to be very careful. But I will share this with you because it's my family. And to show you that we really do have a connection to this land. We were here. But this is him. And also, Quidutz also had, I believe, 2 wives. Way before polygamy came in. So he had many children, and we all somehow are related, because that's the way it was. Among our people, among our men, if their if the wife's sister's husband passed away, it was responsibility of that husband to take care of her sister's children also. So that was one of the things that I also noticed too, that has kind of separated on its own way. But still, some of us still practice taking in those children and loving them no matter what, because they are children and they need them. They need to have that family. And one of the things that happened, like in the 1950s, 1960s, the government came in and took our children away because they thought we didn't have the standard of living that everybody else had. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have running water. And so that was one of the reasons they took our children. And they thought we couldn't do a good job. And a lot of the times grandmothers stepped in and took care of those children. And so we were relocated from, we just lived over at his band. They lived, and they were Shivwits. They lived over there by, let's see, where is it? By the Shivwits Plateau. Over there by Mount Trumbull, somewhere right in that area. And then probably in, I believe it was the 1950s or somewhere in that area, that time frame, from Mount Trumbull, they moved them all over here to St. George area. Down by the temple, they had an encampment. And you'll be able to see some of that. We were always being moved. And a lot of it was due to, some of it was just naturally because of the food source. The animals that were brought in destroyed what we usually ate, the plants that we depended on. So they moved over to the St. George area. And like I said, he had many children. And so I don't think he went up to where we are now. So next one, you can move it. Of course, we hear about Powell. And I had something written about Mr. Powell, but my grandmother says that her dad had met Powell, and Powell had come and he met with the Shivwits people, or the Paiutes, and we're all kind of connected. Because over in by Mount Trumbull, there was the Kaibab people, there was the Uinkarits, and the Uinkarits are no more. There are 2 or 3 more bands that are no longer, but they were over in that area. And so we would come, and we'd be over here. We'd come over this way, and up along the Santa Clara River. A lot of our people lived there too. But anyway, he was here, and he met with the Paiutes. But when he first came, he came down into the Galpa, down into the Colorado River, and that's how they stayed in Paiute, is the Galpa. And so he had come down, and then my grandmother tells this story. She says that she learned of a tragic circumstances, and she learned it through her family stories, and she would recount it. She'd tell it. And one time when they did see Powell down there, he was looking for 3 of his men. And she says that when the Indians around Pershant saw Powell, 3 men coming up with more wash, they had a meeting with the surrounding groups to decide whether to kill the Paiutes or not. Some of them are white people, the ones that were with Powell. And some of the young men, the Shivwits men, wanted to kill them. And they were in favor of it. But some of the people said no. The dude said no, don't kill him. If they did this, then the other white people would come and they'll kill all of us. And so the young man decided to kill them anyway. And they killed him near the head of Whitmore Wash. And then my grandmother, who was Susan Simon, she was a little girl. My great-grandmother, she was a little girl, and when Powell came down to Colorado, when he first approached the Indians, my great-great-grandfather Toots told the children to run and hide, as maybe he was going to come and take the girls away. And my great-grandfather said that he had seen the rock that Powell had written on, and nobody's ever seen that rock. And I don't know if the Paiutes have ever found it. But this was the story of somewhat of what Powell was doing when he came here. He was the first to meet the Paiutes. And before Powell, there was the Spaniards. The Spaniards came in, and they went through our people, our homelands. And of course they had, before the Europeans, then they had the Mormons came in, the Europeans, all of those people came in. And the Spaniards came right down, they made their trail right through the Shivwits Reservation. And I remember them talking about that. And they actually went out and they monitored it or looked at it to see where that trail went. And all the people that looked at that trail now are gone. And so it is written in somewhere that he did come through the Spaniards. And in the mid-1800s, we had the trappers and the European Americans. But before the Mormons would help them, they say, we got to save your soul. So you got to be baptized into the church. Well, that didn't really work. But we made it through somehow. They gave us some type of assistance, but we made it. So you're going to see this where Shivwits was, they baptized our people. And some say that there is a place, there's some places around here where the water did actually fall and make like a pond, and they would baptize them right there. I've heard there was one up on the Red Mountain. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say. So a lot of these things just kind of all play together, but this is our history. You know, I don't want to say bad things or anything, because this has already been done and over. We have to go forward. We have to move forward. And the Shivwits people are doing that today. They are moving forward. I'm very proud of them. And so we need to look at these things and remember them. We never forget our ancestors. That's one thing we don't do. We don't forget our people that have gone on. Because each one of them left something. Left it for us, whether it be a song, a story, any of those things. Our ancestors left that for us. And like when I also tell people when I go out and I'll do presentations, small ones, and I tell them, you know what? You guys all came from a tribe. Every one of you in this room have come from a tribe. But you don't know anymore what tribe you came from. We don't want to become like that. We want to know who we are. And so our language is so important to us, because that makes us us. That makes us how we live, how we choose to live. But, you know, that's what I always say. You all came up from a tribe, whether it be Irish, English, you all have a history. But sometimes we forget it. So you all have that. So I always tell people that, because that's a good thing to know who you are and where you came from. So with our beliefs, before the Mormons came in, we had our own belief system. We had a lot of respect. Respect especially for the land. Respect for the water. Respect for the plants. I've even been told, or I was taught when I was young, that the rocks could talk, the mountains could talk, the animals could talk. We all spoke one language. We could understand each other. And when something happened, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden the languages went this way and that way, and now we don't understand them. But still it's important for us, as a Numa people, the Paiute, we need to remember to talk to the land, to respect it. And so as a teacher, I look for a lot of resources, and if it's out there, I'm going to use it. And so I found this because I've been very involved with the Zions National Park, with Bryce, with, I haven't been to the Bears Ears, but I have learned something about that. And our connection. And also with Zions, Bryce, and then the Bears Ears, those three. And also, I knew a little bit about, I've heard some about Pine Valley. So in this clip right here, we have our family from Kaibeb, and they are sharing our beliefs. And I just love to listen to this because Carlos is my cousin, and he speaks really good Paiute. He's never forgotten it. So when I listen to it, it just makes me think of his mom and dad and all the people that went on. So I'll go ahead and have her play this for you, but listen to the respect for the water, for the land. This is what we believe. And you can watch this on YouTube. You can see the whole video that they did. So I'm very proud of Angelita and Carlos Blitz. They have done an awesome job. And they also help with protecting or being a word or a speaker for our people. So I appreciate that. This is a picture to show you that we were really here. Before, this is when the Mormons were coming in. So there's very few houses in this settlement. And this is when the Shivwits were relocated over here to St. George area. And this is very close to me because this is my family. The man over there with the hat on that you see and his arms are folded, that is my great-grandfather, Simon. I'm assuming his name was Simon, because his name was Simon. And my grandmother's name was Bessie Simon. So I'm thinking his name must have been Simon. But he probably had a Indian name too, but I don't know what it is. Next to him, in the background, is my grandmother, his wife. Her name was Susie Simon. And then over here, this little girl, standing on the wagon, the little girl right there by that round thing, that is my grandmother, Bessie Simon. Over here on the end, behind my grandfather Simon, is a woman by the name of, I can't say her name in Paiute, but it's a Chipmunk. And I'm believing that is Clarence John's his grandmother or his great-grandmother. And so he was from Shivwits, and his mother lived up to the old village. So we were here. And a lot of these other people, I don't recall them, and somebody else might remember them. But you will see this picture in the care center. That's where I saw it. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is a beautiful picture. But you can see how we used to be. And that is when we had the European influence with our clothing. So, and this is Mrs. Starr. Her name sounds familiar, the Starr, because I remember there used to be a teacher by the name of Mr. Starr when I was a young girl, years ago in St. George, Utah. So that's the way it was before a lot of the streets came in a long time ago, in 1899. Okay. This is Nunik Topon and Kahu in 1936. On the right here, standing is my grandfather. His name is Tony Tillahash, and his wife is Bessie Simon, and she is the great-granddaughter of Quitut. And this picture was taken up in the old village where we had no water, no electricity. And if you look a little bit further, the land kind of dips down, and that's where the old Highway 91 used to run. But we have words for our language, in our language for our family members. And in our classroom, when I teach the language, we learn those. And also, my grandfather, Tony Tillahash, he is from the Kaibab Paiute. He's a Gaibitsi. And my grandmother is a Shivwits, Sivitsi. So then I am like Gaibitsi, Sivitsi Gaibitsi. Because my family comes from both places. And in the old days, they would, when they socialized, that's where they found their spouses. But my grandfather says he came to see this area in 1925. And he has a really tremendous story. Durahits means an orphan, left alone. His family, all his family, except for his grandmother, was killed in a massacre by the St. George people over there. And I can't remember this. But anyway, only his grandmother was left alive. Everybody in his family were killed at that time. And So Tura means without nothing, bare. So his name is Turahit. And so that's what my name is Tillahash. Tillahash is the English way to say it. He was, he attended, and my grandmother also attended the Panguitch boarding school. They also attended a boarding school that was up on Shivwits when the government put that boarding school up there. And then they moved, they went to Panguitch and then came back. From Panguitch, my grandfather went to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He came back. He had to do a 5-year contract, and they had to sign it, and they couldn't come home no matter what. 5 years. We had other people, other family members of our band that went. There was Foster Charles, Doa, Thomas Mayo, Brig George, and Seth Bushhead, Tony Tillahash, and Minnie Rice. They were all sent to Carlisle, and they all came back. So we're lucky that they did come back. And in that time, my grandfather did not lose his language. He always kept that. And he, at that, while he was there in Carlisle, he took on an internship with a linguist. And this is how our language was recorded. He has a dictionary, which I was very lucky to get onto, to receive. And have to really look at it to read it, but I figured it out somehow because I knew some of the words already. So he did all of that, and Sapir, Edward Sapir, I believe it was, he worked with him, and he wrote many of the stories, and he wrote many of the songs. My grandfather, he really wasn't what they call a song singer. But when he came home, he made it his priority, number one, was to learn those songs. And he learned them from the old people that were there. And they taught him. And he always supported our ceremonies when they had burials. Those are songs for the burials. And then he was a hand game singer. And with our people, hand game is very, very important. That is part of our social life. And so a lot of people, our Paiute people, have songs. And when we hear those songs, we say, oh, that's so-and-so song. Oh, that's so-and-so song. It just makes you happy. You think about it. Shaquoyah was singing one of the songs, and I said, oh, that used to be a Harstulong type of his song. That was his Indian name, was Harstulong. But anyway, it just made me think of that. You know, I think of people like that. Those were those songs. You recognize them. And that's what I remember as a young girl. Okay. Today, this is a sign that you will see when you go out to our reservation. We have a new part of our reservation where we had the old part up by the creek, and now it's out on the flatlands, so that when I wake up every morning, I see those big, beautiful mountains, red mountains, Kankataipa. I see those every morning. And so this is our new sign that is welcoming you to our Shivwits Band History Homelands. And you're going to see Na there. And I think we skipped over him, I can't remember. But anyway, we have a story of him too. He is a mountain sheep, and he's very important in our culture, in our stories. And so we have come a long way. Did we do that one? Let's see. Don't want to overdo it, but anyway, we have a story about Na, and we have a song that the Shivwits people created, the men created. And it tells the story about how Na saved our people by sacrificing himself because our people were hungry. And so it tells the story of how he came down from the mountain, and the Namunsing, the Paiutes, they hunted him, and then he became their food. So we have a lot of respect for now. We don't eat them now, but you know, they are beautiful animals. And they used to have them in the gorge, but I understand they relocated them, so they are no longer there. I don't know if we have any up on our reservation, perhaps up on the top of the mountains, I don't know. And so Na also became a story in one of our Dunina. And he became the North Star. So when you look up in the sky and you see that north sky, who is the guiding light, that is not the mountain sheep. And how he was one of the Creator's favorite animals. He was so loved by the Creator. But Na was naughty. Well, he was like Coyote. And he was very, I can do this, I can do that, you know. Very boastful. And so Na, he told everybody he could climb up this big, sharp mountain. And he went inside to the mountain, and he tried to go climb up on top of that mountain. And not mountain, it's just like a little tiny, I don't know what you call it, but anyway, he didn't give up. And he continued, and he reached the top. When he reached the top, it was like a little round circle. Little tiny bit of grass, little bit of water. He was up there on that mountain. And then the Creator came around and he said, have you seen Na? He was asking everybody, have you seen it? Where did he go? Where is my son? And so Na was up there. He didn't say anything. He was too embarrassed. And so the Creator finally found him. And then so the Creator says, that's what you get for being boastful. So you're going to stay there, and I'm going to take you. And he took him up into the skies, and he became the North Star. So that is our story of Na. So you can hear this, you can get this book, you can download it. And Eleanor, Tom, and I, and Dorina, and Eleanor is here tonight. She's one of our elders. She's right up there. And she is a wonderful woman that helps with every language, story. I just love to hear her talk. And anyway, we did this project along with the Navajos, the Utes, the Northwestern Band of Shoshones, the Boshutes. We took 5 or 6 stories and we put them in a book form like this. And teachers can use this. And you can find it on www.schoolsutah.gov, Curriculum Indian Ed. And if you just go to that site, you can find it, you can download it. If you're a teacher, you can use it. So that is that story. And then just to share some of the things that we have here very quickly on the table, we have the rabbit robe, or the rabbit blanket. That is part of our lifestyle. We would hunt those rabbits and then skin them, and then they would make a rope out of a plant, and then they would tie it in here, kind of wrap it around, and then you'd weave it. But it wasn't just conveniently up like that, and there didn't have nothing like that. It was flat on the ground from the pictures that I've seen. So we had one of the Kaibab ladies come over and show us that, and that was very awesome. Our children were able to participate and make something like that, and it took time. That's where you learn patience. And I have the deer, the duig, who is our main source of food even today. And we have the baskets that are made from the willow, all handmade, or the sumac. And the pomit, the corn, the Indian corn. We have the rattle, which is used for ceremonies sometimes, or just to sing. And there is a name for that. I'm not sure what it is. I don't want to mess it up. We have a game that is called Barukwip, and it is all made from nature. And this is what our kids have learned how to play that, and then they have to count to 10 in Paiute because it's almost like Monopoly. It's an Indian Monopoly, but it's all original from the earth. And so it's a cool game. This represents the water, ba. And if they fall in the water, they have to go back. This is our pono, which is the cradle board. And Shaquoyah slept in this one. We have some cradle board makers here tonight who are Eleanor and Granddaughter, Homer. They are wonderful cradle makers. Those are the only ones I can see, so forgive me if I forgot you. But they do beautiful, beautiful work. This is our knot. This is what I've been using now. I've gathered some of those to help the kids learn the animals. And so this is the cradle board. We talked about that. And the cradle board, when I was listening to another lady, I always heard it was like, when that baby is laying in that cradle board, it's like the baby's still in the mother's womb, so they're safe. The head part protects them if they should fall, protects their head. Helps their back to be straight. And this was a good one, what I heard was that they learned to observe. They watched, they learned. When that baby was in there and the mother was out working and stood up against a tree, they watched. They watched everything. They listened. And that's probably where they took all their Paiute language and everything they saw. And it became inside of them. So, that's it. What's up here? Oh, no. Well, this is we also use cedar. When we have blessings, we'll use that. You know, we always sometimes use it at the beginning of a meeting or when we gather, so that everything will be okay. It's like a prayer. And you'll see that all over the juniper. And also the little beads, I understood they could cook them and eat them. I've never had it, but some other tribes use it as jewelry. Okay. And just some of the natural original places that we have, I'll just go through them very quickly. In St. George, Duwina, Dunukwin is the Black Flowing River, which is the Santa Clara River. There was a band of Paiutes there too. They are no longer there. Okay. No hunt is describing a woman with a child. The red mountain that you see coming out from Ivans, that's no hunt. Okay. We talked about volcanoes, Squawkai, because even in the clip, the video clip you saw, you heard that word squawk, Squawkai. That mountain breathes, breathing mountain. And so we had, this is the one up by Dameron Valley, going up towards Enterprise. Okay. This one is Sunapai. This is a Coyote Mountain over by Washington, Utah. And there's a story that goes with that too. Okay. Mahaktai. It means forested mountains, Pine Valley Mountains. Mohakkai, or they can also say Mohakkari. Mohakkari, the mountain, the forest mountain city. Okay. Barus is the white water, the Virgin River, the Barus. Because that makes a foaming, sometimes a foaming type of color that's white. Okay. Mukantuit, straight up land, which is Zions. There are many names, there's 2-3 more names that you can call Zions. But as Paiute people, we usually know or hear what they're saying. So Mukantuit, okay. Bryce Canyon, I'm not sure if I wrote it down somewhere and I lost my little notebook, but it was Ankakolam Wonuts. Eleanor, is that right? Yeah. Something like that? Yeah, Ankakolam Wonuts. Red face standing. So, that's it. And this is the bear's ears. This is something new that I am learning about our connection. And it was just so awesome. I was in Zion the other week with the Zuni and the Hopi, the Paiute. We talked about the bear's ears. And I learned from a younger person that the bear's ears was a place where we gathered. It was like a whole gathering of people where we traded, we socialized. We went there to gather medicine plants, all of those things. So it's just overwhelming how we relearn for me, how important these lands are for us to be stewards and to be a part of it, to give our input. We're here, and we don't want to be forgotten. Okay. And then I would just like to say, I thank you for coming, and I'm going to have Shaquoyah, she's going to share something with you just to end it. And so Shaquoyah, you're good. Oh. This was the circle dance, and circle dancing was very important to the Paiutes long ago. From what I remember, we did a little program with this too, and we learned that the circle dance was done a long time ago, and the dust that would come from the Paiute people's feet would go up into the heavens, carrying our prayers. Right now, the circle dance is really more of a social dance. And so we have a word for it, Quinuk, Uwikai, and then I also learned there was another word for Glenn, Winomi.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, Winomi. And so it means just that you're going up and down. So like that, I learned new things, but that's what it means. And so this is a picture of our people with the Highland Plateau, Arizona. They're having a Paiute Indian circle dance. And that also has something to do, I believe, when we had it, it had to do, somebody came in and was connecting it to the ghost dance. And we do have a ghost dance site too, but it's not on our reservation, it's on another one, on one of our sister lands. So this part, it's starting to come around, to learn those songs again. And those songs sing about nature, our life. And they're all in Paiute. Some of them might not be words that we can understand now. So this is Shaquoyah's part, so she will take over for now, and then we'll be finished. Thank you.
Okay, I want to share with you tonight a round dance song. It is about the bald red mountains, land of mine. I will stand in your foggy mist. And this is how I had round dance songs are sung differently sometimes through different bands and tribes, and this is just how I learned it. You're
Thank you so much, Karma and Shaquoyah. We've got a few minutes left for questions and answers. So if you would like to learn anything more, please feel free to ask a question. Just come on down and I'll pass you the mic. And Karma has time for a few questions.
I'm still pretty young, so where are we at?
I want to have you see if you can, are there certain symbolisms to the beautiful designs on your beautiful table runner, the patterns? Do they have symbolism to you?
Sorry, say that one more time. Say that one more time.
On the beautiful table runner, the patterns, do they have symbolisms or certain meanings to you? They're beautiful.
Oh, pattern.
The blanket.
Is there any meaning to the patterns?
Oh, I don't know. This is the Pendleton blanket. I can't remember this. I still have a tag on it because it was given to me when I retired from the school district, and so I've never used it. I won't use it this time, but it is President Hardy. It's called the President Hardy Pendleton because his wife used to go around to the Indian people, something like that, but I have no clue about the
Next question.
I actually do not have a question, but I would like to, right here, I'm over here, Karma, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for educating me today, and Shaquoyah also for you to share your culture. With me, I'm very new to this area, I'm a very new professor right here at Utah Tech. So for me to be moving here from the American Midwest to the American Southwest, this is such a surreal moment for me to learn directly from both of you and many others who have collaborated for this project. What a beautiful and heartfelt way to immersing myself into this very Paiute and American Indian culture. I'm truly indebted for this evening, so I want to thank you both and everybody else. So it's really a comment, not a question. I'm very, very honored to be here this evening. Thank you.
Well, I've been doing some research on Mormon colonization of southern Utah, and I was struggling to find Native perspectives on what happened. And obviously you talked about how it's there's much written history. Where would be a good place to look for that history? It's not written.
Oh, okay. One of the books that I really like to use, because it is written in the perspective of the Native Americans, but they are only the tribes from the state of Utah. And this one is the history of the Utah American Indians, which was edited by Forrest Kutch. He is a Ute, and then in each section it has like the Goshutes, the Paiutes, the Northwestern Shoshone. It tells you their history, and it's from the Paiute people. Our version was explained by Gary Tom Hypel. And when I say that means he used to be here, but he's not with us anymore. So he was one of the people that helped write this book in our perspective. The other one is, what is it called? It has the Richards typhoon on there.
Southern Paiute.
Southern Paiute. There's one there. And it has a lot of our elders, some of the grandmothers of our people are sitting in the audience. They were interviewed. And that's where I learned, you know, they knew something was coming. And so that's why I would say they understood that our language was going to go away. If we don't wake up now, they were scared. They were afraid for us. And if we have less than 10 fluent speakers in our tribe. So we've got to step up and start, you know, doing something about it, whether it be through songs or stories or just talking. We need to use it. Like they say, use it or lose it. So we gotta keep it up. But this is a good book. A very good book.
The name of the book, please.
I'm sorry, I can't hear it. I left my hearing aids home. Oh, there it is, right there. A lot of our elders in here are gone now.
All right, next question right here in the back, and then,
I'm trying to think.
yeah, it's a repeat, it's called Southern Paiute. Oh, that one, what's that one called?
A History of Utah's American Indians.
A History of Utah's American Indians. All right.
I wondered, in the cradle board, my children, I had to change their diapers all the time. What did you use for diapers for the babies in the cradle board?
Oh, one of the things we also did was one of our Paiute ladies showed us how to go and pick the rosecliff bark. I didn't know what they used it for, but she said they would use it for diapers, for shoes, for mats, all of that. They would weave it. And so that's what that was for. And sometimes they put it inside of the cradle so that the baby would be comfortable. So that's what they used. They used also the yucca for soap and shampoo. They also used, I think they used that too for shoes, for making shoes. Before the Mogsons came in. I don't remember, Mogsons came in way later, I think.
All right, here you go.
I have to acknowledge my elders. Shaquoyah Bernice and Shia, Topan Shia, Logan, Nashi, Kachi, Nashi, Lislam, Nashi. I'm Navajo. I just said my name is Bernice. I'm born for the Edgewater clan. Excuse me, I'm of the Edgewater clan, born for the Repeat clan. My maternal grandfather is Red Running into the Water, and my maternal grandfather is Bengals clan. I have to acknowledge my elder. Karma, this is Bernice. Years ago, I used to work with Karma. Karma and I used to go to Salt Lake for back then it was Title 7. Do you remember that, Karma?
Yes, I remember.
We used to go to Salt Lake for our Indian education, and I did the Indian education up in Iron County. And the one thing I see, my younger children go to school here now, but the one thing I noticed, they were given an opportunity down here to take advantage of the Navajo government class. And I don't know if you started that, Carmen.
For what?
The Navajo with Clayton Long,
The
the Navajo government class that you offer through the school
The
district.
government and
The language.
language.
Yes.
Yeah, we started that when I was in, with the school district, where they could, the Navajo students were able to take those classes, get a half credit from Granite School District, and that would enable them to apply for the Chief Manuelito's scholarship if they were high academic achievers.
Yes. And that's one thing I'm really truly grateful for Karma for, that I don't know if many people know this is This is what Karma did at the school district level, and I'm truly grateful for me and my family. Thank you.
Shaquoyah, first I want to thank you for your beautiful song, sharing that this evening. And could you share a little bit more about the times that the salt song is sang? When the salt song is sang? Salt songs?
That's kind of a very touchy subject, but we don't talk too much about it because it's used for ceremonials. But just for, like I said, we remember our ancestors, and we do grieve for our people that have gone on. So we have a process, a protocol that we use to use those songs, and those are very special songs. So we do not share that with anyone, except for our own tribal people who are learning it.
Thank you.
We've got a question right over here.
Hi, I'm in Eleanor town. You go right, Onoli. And you meet Aya, Janina Marime, Aya, you buy. When you are or Paiute or Indigenous for me, so. You're telling the story of the Paiute people. And I'm really happy to hear that, because I don't hear this from other people. I want to hear for myself, you know. I talk Paiute, and I'm the only one that I can't talk to my kids because they don't understand me. And so I'm just a little old lady that talks to myself in my house. If I, looking for something, hunting, that's what I would say. I'd be looking for something, I say, where did I put you anyway? And so, but I do teach Paiute language. In fact, one of my one of my daughters here is my adopted daughter, and she, stand up, and this is Chloe, and she could speak Paiute. She's one of the girls that I taught. Yeah, a little bit, she said. But she understands. I talk to her sometimes. We sit. She comes and stays with me sometimes and visits with me. Stays a week sometimes. And we just have fun together. And sometimes she'll talk Paiute to me, and I'll have to kind of think, what the heck was she saying? And I'd say, I don't know. And then she would say it again. And so, but yeah. And I'm really, she's the only one I can talk Paiute to, because, and she answers me back. And so, but she's going home tomorrow, and she's been here with us for about a week. And when she goes home, I feel sad, because I'm, just me and my son live there in this big house. And my son, he doesn't speak Paiute, he's not even interested in any of it, the stuff. I try to teach him, try to tell him, in Paiute, I talk to him, and all he says is, oh. That's all he says. So, I don't know what he means by that, but anyway. But I always tell him, try to listen to me.
It's a nice language.
But I'm really happy to be here, Karma, and I enjoyed your presentation here, what you're doing. And it just made me feel good, because I've seen some of the old Shan people there, old people, And I think I seen some of those, your grandmother Eunice, or your aunt Eunice, you know, told me about those pictures of that little lady. And she showed me, you know, her relatives that were in there. And so, but she's the one that used to be that one there. And she, you know, pointed out all her relatives that were there. And she even told me where that place was down there, where it was taken. And so, but yeah, she used to talk Paiute to me. Because she was what do you call it? She could really speak Paiute. And her and I would just sit and we'd talk. You want she'd tell me something, and I would tell her something, and things that I told my mom and they go, put to my dad we're talking about that person, and we don't want to give his attention, so we don't have to talk to Paiute to each other. And so, you know, that was her and I. But that's gone now. She passed away. And so, and a lot of our elders are going, and we're all of us, some of us don't speak Paiute anymore. And we're losing our language. And that's sad, you know, and so, but I feel sad too because we don't have too many Paiute speakers, somebody that I can sit and talk with. But anyway, I guess I said a mouthful, but it's really good to see a lot of people here. And she did very well. She did.
Eleanor. And just to say something else, Eleanor and Chloe put together a book. You can find it at the Homelands or somewhere with the 4th Street. It's called Why the Moon Paints Her Face Black. And it's a Paiute story, and it is in English, and it has a CD that has it in Paiute. There was also another book, and I think she's working on one more, but I'm not sure how far along that is. There is another book you will find at Bryce Canyon or down in the BLM. Glenn Rogers and Clarence John put together the story about a young girl and our connection with the Bryce Canyon. And it's called The Hoodoos. It's a good little story. So that is out there if you wanted to also look at that. So, and that's what I was talking about with Granddaughter, is the Bryce Canyon with the Anka Kuban, the red fish standing. So those are 2 other books that you can take a look at. Another book that I really liked was the Pickavet family. What was his name? Old Joe? Big Joe? Anyway, it has something to do with, I can't remember it. Anyway, it's a story of his life, and it's really good to hear what he has to say. He's from the Kanash band up there. I can't remember it, but anyway, it's Pickavet, Joe Pickavet, and his whole family is still up there. So that's a good book too. If you look up Pickavet, P-I-K-Y-A-V-I-T, that's the one Eleanor has done. And then that was all done by the Paiute youth too, up in Cushon, somewhere.
So Sarah, we've got another question, but how much time do we have left on questions? We have time for 1 or 2 more.
Karma, are you okay for a couple more questions?
Huh?
Are you okay for a couple more questions?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we got a couple more. We got one back here, and then I'll be down there.
Karma and Shaquoyah, I just wanted to thank you so very much for your presentation and your song. I wanted to mention a couple things. Zion National Park was first a national monument. Presidents can declare national monuments, and I believe it was President Taft that declared it. It was called Mokonkowi National Monument. Then it became a national park, which is designated by Congress. I also wanted to mention that when the controversy of Dixie State University name change occurred, I put in a proposal to change the name to retain DSU, but to call the university Diné State University, to honor the Native American people. That was, as you all know, soundly rejected. But that would save a lot of money because everything would have retained DSU. Just think about it. Diné State University. So bless you, may the Great Spirit and Mother Earth bless you all.
Yeah. Karma's a good friend of mine and everything else, but, you know, I want to thank her. On one of those pictures, it was where they're all lined up. The one with the two little girls, that was my grandma. My grandma was named Sue Foster, and in the end, one of those three little girls over there, can't remember which one, I think it was the one to the left, the smallest one, the one to the left, I think it was her, but her name is Sue Foster, and in the end, she met her husband, her name, and the last name was Rogers, so it was Sue Foster Rogers when she was my grandma, and I want to thank Karma, and she's done all that, you know. I want to tell you guys something, you know. We don't recognize people like this, you know, not on the reservation. We don't recognize Shivwits reservation, you know, she needs something, help or an award or something, you know. And it's hard to see that. You know, we're also wrapped up in ourselves and wrapped up in something else. But she's done a lot for the Shivwits Band. I'm talking for the Shivwits Band. And she's done a lot for them, and you don't see that kind of stuff. And to me, I wish there was some kind of a program that helps the elders. You know, we don't get no help from elders or veterans on the Shivwits Indian Reservation, or any reservation, I guess, I don't know. But I just want to thank Karma for that. And another thing you guys didn't know about Karma's grandpa, he went to Carlisle Indian School. He played with Jim Thorpe football, you know? And that's what you don't know. And it's things like that your little kids have to look up to. Is your grandpa, grandma, or somebody from the reservation? There was, what, 4 other people that went to there. Was there from Sham? Karma? 4 other people who went to Carlisle Indian School, played football. Wasn't there? Yeah, and I think they were the,
Seth Bushhead.
yeah, Seth Bushhead. He was my grandpa.
Charles.
Yeah, Charles. Some of the Charles family, they went back there. So,
Minnie Rice.
who?
Minnie Rice.
Yeah. So, you know, that's something that we don't know and you don't know. And so in the history books, you know, in our history book, our old history books, it's written like that. And we understand these things and pass down. So I just want to thank Karma for all the work she's done for the Shivwits Band especially. And to be recognized like this and to come and talk to you people about some of our beliefs. And some of them are sensitive. We can't share these songs with you. You guys know that. So don't go there. Don't go try to exploit some of our things, you know. And so just stay away from that because we can't share that. And that's how it is, you know. We can't do that. So I just want to thank Karma. And her family is a good family. You know, I thank them for all the help they've given us and given me, especially in my life. We went to a lot of her classes and we've learned a lot from her, both of us and all of us. So I want to thank Karma for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's good to be here tonight on Southern Paiute Homelands, and it's great to hear all the language filling up this auditorium. That's a beautiful opportunity that we've had tonight to be here learning from someone like Karma. Thank you so much. And it was great to hear you say that the Southern Paiute people are still here and that you don't want to be forgotten. That's important. There's a really important thing happening right now. If you want to help to remember the Southern Paiute people and the Shivwits people, the Shivwits Toy Drive is unfolding right now. Every year the Shivwits Band raises money for Christmas gifts for kids from the Shivwits Band and also Kanash and Kusharam and other families. And Glenn Rogers right there started the Shivwits Toy Drive back in 2000. A long time ago.
I wasn't born then.
But if you want to support the Shivwits Band this Christmas, please see this poster outside on our table, and you can sign up for a guided hike to a petroglyph site with Glenn, or one of 2 performances where you can hear Southern Paiute music and see powwow dancers. And it's a suggested $25 donation to participate, and all the funds go towards the purchase of Christmas presents for kids from the Shivwits Band. So really important. Again, this is out on the table out front. And then Karma really generously brought these stacks of Southern Paiute Shivwits dialect vocabulary cards that are also on the table up there. There are copies, not enough for everybody, but first come, first serve. So if this would be meaningful to you and you would really use this, please take one. There are also the Shivwits dialect animal coloring books that Karma brought. These are really fun. So if you have kids in your family, please grab one of these. We also scanned it and put it online. So if you can't get a hard copy and you want a digital copy, make sure you sign up, become a Conserve Southwest Utah member. Let us know that you want a copy of this and we'll send it to you. Okay, thank you again.